Significantly, the highlights of Emefiole's first day in office today was a meeting with entrepreneurs who are utilizing local raw materials to produce internationally quality products that will change perceptions on made in Nigeria. To discuss, let's bring in Bayo Ijasan, a production manager, Bature Brewery, and Keith Bolshaw, the chief executive or financial officer, Pacific Ring West Africa. Welcome, guys.
Thank you. Welcome.
We would love to know what made in Nigeria products that you are behind.
Well, I am presenting Bature Brewery. It's the first craft brewery in Nigeria and also in West Africa. We produce local beer the way you would expect if you want to take something different from what you have as the commercial ones. We use local ingredients and we are true to the name craft, which means it's done in the traditional way. And as much as possible, whatever it is that is local that we can infuse into this beer, we do that. So we have a Shakara Zobo Ale, for example, which is a Zobo beer. You know, you see the pink color and you know that this is something you're very familiar with. We have a Black Gold Coffee Stout, which we also, incidentally, use one of the products that we're showcasing today. Kaldi Coffee is one of the coffees. The dark roast coffee is the coffee we're using in Black Gold Coffee Stouts. And with little or no effort from outside, we've been able to achieve so much. We won an award 2 weeks ago in the Africa Beer Cup. You know, without us going commercial yet, we've already started winning awards. And we started with a team of just 3. We are 15 now. And without any help, without any financing from anywhere, we've been able to do this. But the main thing is, how big can we grow? It's a country of 200 million people. How big can we really go? It's a big market out there, and we want to go into everywhere. Use local ingredients and make sure that it's truly made in Nigeria.
So, Keith, that brings me to question. How do you source for your local materials?
Well, we use cassava to make cassava chips for our brand Cassanovas. And when we first arrived in Nigeria, we knew that there was a lot of cassava in the country, but we also knew that getting the right quality in the right quantities at the right time of year, having a year-round supply, would be something we had to plan. So we went to some of the local government associations, asked for help, went to the commodities growers, and essentially got assistance through every organisation we could. And that's given us a supply chain that we're hoping to develop into a world-class operation.
And there are further brands as well that are locally made in Nigeria.
Absolutely, absolutely. So naming a couple of them, as well as Bature Brewery and Cassanovas, we've also got Loshes Chocolates, which is a chocolatier made in Lagos. Now they've got 4 brands.
So we can see that right on our screens. We have Cassanova. I think we've
That's
got it
your
from
brand,
cassava.
Keith?
That's our brand, the cassava chips. Very proudly 100% Nigerian. And we're still relatively new. We've only been open for about 8 months, but we're already selling across Europe.
And that's the locally made coffee. And
having a look, this brand in particular, I absolutely love. Food Pro. They do high-end cashew nuts, and if you have a look at the back of the packet, they've got a beautiful story, which is the owner, Ayo, great guy, and on the back it talks about how he was walking through his factory. Now he's got 400 women working in his factory, and one of them, I believe her name was Lola, came up to him and said, "I'd like to say a prayer. Now I'd like to pray that this company always has success, because there are 400 of us working here, and as long as this company has success, we can feed our families and we can carry on with our livelihoods." Now that's the sort of story that could only be true in Nigeria, and I think it's such a beautiful, it's almost in a nutshell what all of the brands being shown here are about. We're providing jobs. Speaking as an investor, we're very happy we came to Nigeria. We managed to pick up such a great team of people. We've got about 50 people, and we've got about 400 farmers already.
You know, a lot of entrepreneurs coming to Nigeria. In fact, even those who actually live in Nigeria are very skeptical about going into business because of so much uncertainties. But tell us about your competition, both of you, your competition, and how you're breaking new grounds.
Well, I think, yes, there's competition as expected. You don't expect that just one company, for example, will be able to provide all that a population of 200 million will need. But then what's the dedication you have to the business that you're doing? What's the expertise you bring into it? It's very likely that you start and then in a few weeks somebody thinks he could also do what you were doing. but then does he have that strength to stay in this industry for 3 years? A lot of challenges we face in Nigeria are not probably even things we can write on paper. Challenges just come from day-to-day activities, from inefficient manpower, for example, not to even talk of the things, maybe power issues and all the other ones. But then, are you true to it? Can you manage a business well for 2 years, for 3 years? We hear stories every day. It's good that we have groups like this. That I can talk to Keith and he tells me the challenges they go through at their end.
Almost like a support system.
It's a support system, yes.
That's exactly what
It's been very beautiful hearing about other small businesses, how they are starting, how Keith has been able to do within 6 months what people should be thinking to do in 10 years. But then that encourages Bature and says, we can do better. There is another one of us, not in this group, Bonita Foods. It's a food processing company. They have 6 flavors of coconut chips. No preservatives, no oils used. Just what you think you probably will be reading about in another country. You see their packaging, it's so beautiful. But that's it. I would like to say, of course, for beer drinkers, their chips goes well with us, but it goes well with other things, salads, ice cream, smoothies. And that's it, but they started so small, but now look at where they are today.
What's some advice, Keith, that you would have for people who do want to start their own SMEs here in Nigeria?
I would say, don't think about it too much. If you think about it too much, you'll basically frighten yourself out of doing it. I think if I'd spent too much time analysing the reasons why I shouldn't move to Nigeria and start a company, I'd still be sitting at home in England, which would be getting me nowhere, basically. I mean, funny enough, I'm not the only one of our particular little group. Dr. Nasra is actually moved over from Kenya to start Nigeria's first coffee roasting, or premier coffee roasting company. Now, she brought a lot of knowledge over from Kenya. Just like me, she was hesitating a little bit, but then she threw herself in. Then you were asking earlier, what are the challenges? Almost immediately, she had competitors spring up. Now, that absolutely terrifies the life out of anyone. If you start a niche product and somebody else steps into your niche, you might think, oh no, what's going to happen? But she found the tenacity that she had, and I think that's probably the word that most summarizes everyone in the group that we've got. Being able to go to a factory day in, day out. There's no glamour in it. It looks glamorous when you see the finished product.
Glamorous.
But when you're sitting there, it's hot. You're sticky. There's oil in the air. There's steam in the air.
It's tenacity that really separates you from your competitors.
Separates who's going to succeed and who's not.
Now,
if you've got that tenacity, you don't need an MBA. You don't need an enormous amount of investment, because you will make it. And once you even start to make it a little bit, there's lots of government agencies, there's lots of help that you can get. We've had enormous help from NEPC.
So talking about help, Keith, you visited the Central Bank of Nigerian government today. Today marks its first day in office. I mean, walk us through some of the discussions that you guys had. Very briefly.
Initially, I think the governor was almost surprised at the quality that we were putting in front of him. I think when he saw the quality of the packaging, the quality of the finished goods, almost immediately jumped up and said, "Get everyone else in here. I need them to come and see how good these products are," because there's unfortunately such an association between made in Nigeria and not being good enough for the international market. And I think we've got the core of a group that can show that there is no reason for that. You can make things in Nigeria that will compete anywhere, and just getting up to that international quality and maintaining those standards is such an important thing, and we're showing it can be done. There's no reason why anyone else can't do it.
And honestly, your packaging is such a very, very, very good international packaging. Really, like it's ready. I had to look back to say that it's made in Nigeria. Okay, you were just Bayo saying also that the coffee you were using, you had no idea that it was made in Nigeria. You thought it was a foreign coffee.
Yes, we use Kaldi coffee as well. But just looking at the packaging, you would think it's something made from somewhere else, but it's local as well. It's made in Nigeria.